Alrighty. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our inaugural webinar of the brand new initiative that we call the Business Development Webinar Series, where we aim every month to have technical experts, to have entrepreneurs come on and share their knowledge with us. My name is Rosh Khan, and as chairman of the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee, I'm excited to serve as your host this evening. Now, this is a GCCI initiative. For those who may not know, the GCCI, it's the oldest private sector representative organization in Guyana. Fun fact, it was established in 1890. It's member driven. It's a professionally staffed, not-for-profit association. It's really a group of people committed to improving the economic climate and quality of life in Guyana. Now, I'm especially thrilled, not just because it's our first one, but because we've really got a great lineup of speakers this evening. We've got incredible panelists. It's a combination of entrepreneurs, a combination of technical experts who live, eat, sleep, and breathe entrepreneurship. So with everything that's happening in our country, from the lockdown to the pandemic to the uncertainty of the future, these are some entrepreneurs who are really in the fields. They're in the trenches. They're the ones who are adapting, they're pivoting, they're embracing innovation. So who are these panelists that I'm talking about? Our panelists this evening are Miss Evie Gurcharan from Java Coffee Bar, Miss Camille Duki from Camille's Academy, and Dr. Vishnu Durga from Action Invest Caribbean. And our specific topic tonight, we're going to be talking all about marketing. We're going to be talking about business development strategies. What should we be doing from a marketing and sales perspective? How should we be adapting given the environment that we're in? And the format's going to be simple. I'll introduce our panelists. They'll have about 10 to 15 minutes to share their best stuff, so no pressure, guys. And then we'll wrap up the session with an open Q&A. So as we go through this, I want to encourage you to drop your comments, your questions in the comments box. And so at the end, what we can do is have all the panelists dive in and jump in and be able to share in that Q&A. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our very first panelist. Mrs. Evie Gurcharan, thank you so much for joining us. She is a multi-award winning serial entrepreneur. She uses her skill as a brand and business development consultant to create sustainable models for development and social good within multiple business ventures, which are owned and managed in partnership with her husband, Miguel Gurcharan. She was selected for the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative Professional Development Program in 2018. And in January 2019, she was appointed as the Managing Director of Girls in Tech, the Guyana chapter. Evie was also appointed Vice Chairman, or should I say Chairwoman, of the Small Business Council at the Small Business Bureau within the Ministry of Business, where she works with other council members to develop initiatives for small businesses to flourish. So this evening, Evie's going to be talking all about marketing. How do we market with all that's happening? Evie, thanks for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you, Roche, and definitely thank you to the GCCI for this initiative. I think it's much needed, and every little bit counts right now. There are a lot of businesses that are doing the best that they can and certainly trying to be the best they can for their customers right now in everything that's going on. So I've been doing marketing. It's been my whole life, my whole career, almost 16 years now. And I want to touch on a little theory and how we can practically apply it in our businesses. So we're facing uncertainty, yes. And one of the recurring questions that I get are, do we throw more money into advertising? Do we just make social media posts or website blogs? Do we just do that and hope that more customers will come, will attract more business? Do we slash prices, rush to reduce overhead, or just try to run a one-man and one-woman show? Of course, these are typical responses to any crisis. We try to wrap our heads around what we know worked before or what we a flight or fight response is what sometimes we get kicked into. But I want to go back to a little bit of theory in marketing, and that's the expanded marketing mix. So the four P's of the marketing mix. If you've done a little bit of marketing or any kind of business study, you know that the price, place, promotion, product is what's usually taught in the theory. But I really want to expand on that to include people, physical evidence, and process. And this is really important right now because the way we conduct business and the things we do are really reliant on how well we approach and how well we embrace this expanded marketing mix. Definitely, an essential part of your business will now be the people that represent your brand, the people that are servicing your customers daily, that are representing your services and your products. Communication is key. Your internal communication as well as your external communication has to have synergy. It has to, not synergy, sorry, it has to be the same. It has to, what you're telling your customers externally should be what's being communicated internally to your people so that they understand how to answer customer queries, how to explain to customers new processes of the business, or how to direct them in terms of new ways of approaching your business. There's a lot that is changing in processes, and your people are on the front line. And it's an essential part of the marketing mix to have them ready, to have them equipped to do their job, and to have them well represented. You know, there's always going to be that point of friction when things change. And they have to be able to explain the why. They have to be able to demonstrate, not just say to the customers, you have to do this. They have to also be putting it into practice and showing your customers that this is for our safety as well as yours. Now, physical evidence is how we have now rearranged our stores or our place of business, or how we work to adapt to the COVID-19 guidelines. A lot of businesses are now having hand washing stations. They have the sanitizing stations. There is signage on the floors. And this is really great. And that's part of your physical evidence to show your customers that we are prepared, we are still servicing you, we're maintaining guidelines. And it's really important that we also are ready to transplant that into a digital space. Using your social media platforms as well as your website to fortify that concept of physical evidence, where we can then take our customer reviews, we can use blogs, we can use videos, we can use pictures of our space. A lot of businesses are also trying virtual shopping now. We need to have that physical evidence of what we do become commonplace online, become commonplace digitally. You know, I keep saying no longer can the customer just walk into a store and browse and take their time to shop. It's very different now, and we have to find more ways of creating that tangible experience for our customers. Finally, and I think this is the most important of the expanded piece right now, is process. And how is your customer now expected to acquire your product or services? Quite a few businesses have asked that customers call ahead to make reservations or to make appointments. There are businesses that are asking of the customer to wait outside or not to come earlier than their appointment time. Restaurants, of course, have adopted to have people pick up or to have it delivered. And explaining that process to your customer is vitally important. We don't want to cause frustration by having them turn up and not being able to get a service or a product because they weren't aware of the new process that we have in place. I just want to share with you that to have consistent satisfaction, we can view something that's called a customer touch point mapping. So think about it. Where do they start? Do they have to start on your website, on your social media? Are you now asking them to contact you via WhatsApp or to call in? Where do they start? And that's where you have to start your marketing plan, from the point that you're asking your customer to start. What is the first contact? If your first contact is now maybe the security guard asking the customer to wash their hands and not a sales representative that they might be accustomed to, it goes back to the people part of the expanded piece. We need to ensure that every single employee is representing the brand well and is representing what you stand for as a company in terms of your mission, your vision, and the way that you service your customers. So the process of product, service, and delivery. Delivery service, of course, is what's prominent now. So what is the process? How do I get from A to B? How do I get from calling you, from coming to your store, from keeping my appointment to fulfilling your service or business delivery? How do you then follow up with your customer to ensure that this new way of doing business is working for them? Or is it anything that you can do to assist them to continue doing business with you? And it's really important. Some ways that you can get information on this is simply asking the customer for their email address, their telephone number, or filling out a short survey, maybe. Different ways, different tools, but it's really important to have that feedback loop if we're to look at retaining our customers. And how do I get them to come back? You definitely want your customers coming back. You want them ordering from you again. We have to make it easy. We can go to the promotion side of the marketing mix, and offering them an incentive to come back is usually what works. So define your persona. A lot of us are finding that the usual persons that used to buy from us, maybe it's not the same anymore because of different situations. Some persons have lost income. Some persons can no longer visit you. They're staying home. So we need to redefine who our customers are and get to them. Identify the touch points. Find out how their experience was. Determine where things didn't work and resolve the problem. And it is an iterative process. We need to go back to it. We need to keep checking that what we're implementing is working, because what we're experiencing is unprecedented. Not businesses haven't had to go through this before. So just to summarize, we need essentially to create a solid relationship with our customers. Relationship marketing is what we're going for. We need our customers to have access to us. We need to have access to them. So communicate with your people. Ensure that internal and external messaging is clear and that there is unison in customer service, and the approach is delivering the goods and the service. Everyone from your cleaner, your custodian, your security guard, everyone has to communicate the same message to your clients and your customers. And then the physical evidence is, signage in your business. Be able to direct persons on what you have to do now, so that there is no time wasting or uncertainty, and then persons are getting upset because they don't know what to do, and all they're concerned with is accessing your product or services. And online, using videos, customer reviews, photos of your products. I mentioned virtual shopping, client testimonial. Sorry, I have reviews there again. But online really has become the space for you to develop your campaigning and your use of physical evidence, which is transferring what you have in store or in office to that digital space. And of course, your process, which I feel is the most important of all. How do you get your customers from A to B, especially digitally? Don't just post and change your copy, change your tone, be instructional, help your customers to do business with you. Thank you very much, Roche, and I hope that this little bit helped.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Evie. That was wonderful. If I could give you some loud virtual applause right now, I absolutely would. Thank you so much for kicking this off for us. And I made some notes here as well. Thanks for, I really like that, transforming the 7 Ps into perhaps the 10 Ps, right? And your focus on people, having the right people is essential. Your focus on physical evidence, demonstrating that you're up to the challenge and adapting to the pandemic, both physically and digitally, and process. I like that. What has changed for customers for them to order or acquire products and services now. And I think you made a really good point. I just want to repeat it again and emphasize it. The customer touch point mapping that you said, down to the security guard. That perhaps wasn't, the first point of contact before. It is now. So we need to be cognizant of that and to ensure that they're informed as well. So Evie, wonderful presentation. Thank you so very much. Stick around for the Q&A at the end of the session. All right, so we are moving along, and our next panelist is none other than Miss Camille Duki. Now, Miss Camille Duki is an educator, a business executive with over 20 years of experience. In the year 2000, she established the first private school on the East Bank with an average enrollment of just 65 students. Today, she is the founder and director of the prestigious Camille's Academy, and it's recognized by the Ministry of Education. She currently leads a team of 75 trained and experienced teachers whose mission is to deliver a well-balanced curriculum that inspires children to reach their highest level of academic success. She's the holder of a master's degree in business administration and is currently pursuing her PhD as well. In addition to picking up the BizX Silver Medal for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, she was also featured in a national newspaper as one of Guyana's most accomplished businesswomen. So this evening, Camille will be telling us all about her academy and, the real world changes, the real world pivots that she's had to make with everything that's happening right now. So Camille, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roshkan. I know Evie would have done an excellent job in speaking about the topic this evening from a theoretical standpoint. So my position this evening to bring some level of balance is to speak from a practical standpoint. What I can say with Camille's Academy on March 13th, when we had the entire interruption of our academic program, the first question on my mind was, how do we survive this? We've come to realize that, as business leaders, in times of crisis, we need to have a mindset shift. We need to change that fear, and everyone knows fear is, we need to change the negative connotation of fear, which is practically false expectations appearing real. We need to change that into face everything and rise, rise above all occasions, even though there are challenges. You face that fear and you change that fear into focus. And of all the training, I've come to realize and understand the true essence of focus is that you follow one course until you're truly successful. But at this point in time, with everything that has been happening, due to the pandemic, we had to change our business model. No longer could we allow the kids to come in a physical environment. And as such, we had to eventually resort to a digital platform. So in 48 hours, our entire business model had to change. There were some challenges, in the inception, especially, teachers mid-age, adapting to technology and adapting really fast. Nevertheless, with constant training, even if it was done virtually, continuous training and development, we would have managed to retain most of our customers, at that initial stage. And I'm happy to say today, even though we would have started the online school 8 weeks ago, it started out with just 35 WhatsApp group, and a few Zoom classes. Today, we would have evolved into a full-blown, e-learning platform, an e-learning platform that only existed in 2 schools in Guyana. And I must say, this was made possible with all the innovation and the training and the constant support from our coach, which is ActionCOACH Guyana. Now, I must admit, 2 or 3 years ago, if we were faced in a similar situation, I really can't tell you what the decision would have been then. So, constant training and development do play a pivotal role in we adapting really fast. So I can tell you at this point in time, teachers are adapting really fast to technology. Again, there are constant training and development going on. What I can also say is that marketing is very, very essential at this point in time. It's important that we push a lot of marketing. And in my 20 years of business, we have never done so much digital marketing as we have done in the last 8 weeks. marketing and communication do play a pivotal role. If you do follow us on Facebook, you would see all the great testimonials that are coming through. Today we have so many followers. We even have, as we launch the online school, we have in excess of 50 new customers, customers who are asking that with the continuous extension of the quarantine for school, they will commit once they know that this online school is going to continue. I'm going to use a little bit of Creole's here, quoting one parent. Her exact words were, "Miss, this is my one God picnic." And even though ministry said 1 month from now, it's okay, it's safe to send my kid back to school, unless we're not certain that there is a vaccine available, I'm not going to send my child out to school. That much I can tell you. So I will only commit to this new platform once I know that this will continue even after COVID-19. So I'm encouraging all other private schools. It's about time that we change our marketing structure. It's about time that, we go through some level of business re-engineering. We need to introduce new models. Too often, you go through the social media platform and you see the heavy criticism, that are meted out to these public schools and private schools as well. All we need to do in these times of crisis, especially as, great business leaders, you must be able to innovate, to dominate if you want to have that competitive edge. So the few things that Camille's would have started 8 weeks ago, we would have seen with just the WhatsApp, the Zoom classes. Today, like I mentioned, we have our own e-learning platform. Currently, we would have retained actually all of our customers. And in addition to that, we have approximately 50 new customers. So I can tell you all it needs is for us to adapt and adapt really fast. The speed, the rate at which we would have adapt and change, I can tell you during these times, it's amazing. So all they're asking for is to take full advantage of technology. It's out there, and this is a time that we need to adapt, and we need to get behind the game, get busy. As private schools, we all have to speak the same language. So, and as business leaders as well, this is the best time to start leading, from a compassionate, as much as we need to be competitive, we need to be compassionate as well. We need to be there for our people. This, more than any other time, we need to lead on compassionate grounds. So this basically wraps up, in a nutshell, what Communities Academy have been doing. And again, I encourage everyone to do the same. Thank you.
All right, another great presentation. Thank you so much, Camille. Really appreciate you sharing some real world practical advice and practical tips on what you've been doing, really what you've been doing since all of this has been happening. I took some notes here as well, that stood out and said 48 hours to change the business model. I think that speaks a lot to how nimble you are as an organization and to the level of agility in the organization to really think outside of the box and to move with the times as well. And I like the fact that you said it all starts with mindset. And you talked about fear, false expectations appearing real, instead flipping that into face everything and rise. And you also mentioned the importance of constant training, consistent learning and development as well. I took key note as well about digital marketing. We're in that space as well, and we've really seen a proliferation of businesses, using the platforms more effectively. So I'm really happy to hear this. And perhaps what is a really interesting byproduct of everything you mentioned was by going online, not only did you retain your customers, but you actually picked up more customers as well. So that's absolutely fantastic. You talked about WhatsApp, Zoom, your e-learning platform as well. And to wrap things up, I think you said it beautifully. It's not just about competition, it's about compassion. So Camille, thank you for being that compassionate entrepreneur. We really appreciate you sharing. Stick around for the Q&A as well. All right. So as we move into our last presentation, our last panelist, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about him. His name is Dr. Vishnu Durga. He's the executive chairman of Action Invest Caribbean, Inc., and he's a certified action coach. He holds a PhD in management specializing in entrepreneurship, as well as an MBA and engineering qualifications as well. As past president, chairman, and counselor of several BSOs, as business support organizations, including the Georgetown Chamber and the Bureau of Standards, Vishnu has over 20 years of private sector development service. He currently serves as the vice chair of Go Invest, and he serves on several boards of successful businesses. And this evening, Vishnu's going to be talking to us about business development strategies, and a framework that we can use for business growth and business success. So, Dr. Vishnu, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rosh, and it's a real pleasure to be here this evening. Pull up the presentation, and yes, this evening I do want to really touch on the business development structure that we have now been utilizing in Guyana for nearly 6 years. And I thought, what is the best piece of content that I can bring to this particular webinar? And when I thought about the way we think about business structure, business organization, we can look at it from the way we learned in textbooks. We can learn at what works practically. But I really thought, let's look at the one that we've been working with for 6 years to see how it has benefited organizations. I would like to thank Camille as well for that shout out. Camille has been one of the companies that has been using this particular structure as well. And I thought it best that persons be able to understand what the structure is and start using. I strongly encourage you, send any questions you have, but also make notes of what you can start applying into your organization immediately. So just a little bit about us. As I mentioned, ActionCOACH started in 1994 and has been in Guyana for the past 6 years now. We started off in 2014, and ActionCOACH has been all across the Caribbean. So the model that I'm going to be introducing to you is being used globally, over 80 countries, and across the Caribbean, and for the past 6 years in Guyana. Now, our definition as well, because when we think about a successful business, and of course we would want a successful business, especially at this particular point in time, because think about it, a successful business is one that can actually withstand the level of pressure that we're facing right now. Because for those of you who've done PESTEL before, you know that right now we're facing some political uncertainty. We're facing some economic uncertainty as well, in the form of lower income to the country as well, and then also some social uncertainty with the COVID crisis that we're facing, and the uncertainty about when we can return back to normal. So what we're always looking for is to actually be at the helm of a very successful business. And our definition is actually it needs to be commercial, and commercial means it can be done on some scale. It's not just your friends and family that are supporting the business. Of course, it must be profitable, right? You don't want to be in a business where month after month, year after year, you're not really making the progress that you're seeking. And the business must work, because if the business works, it allows you not to work. It allows you not to be heavily involved into the day-to-day. Because one of the key things that businesses must deliver is employment for the many people who are seeking jobs for their own development of their livelihoods. So as an entrepreneur, you know, we all have really key roles, key places that we need to fill, and one of them is as an employment generator. Now, the structure that we use always starts off with what we call mastery, and I will go through the 4 areas of mastery so you can take a look of what you already have in place in your business. But at the mastery level, what we're basically doing is eliminating the chaos in a business. When you eliminate the chaos in a business, meaning that you are very clear on where you're heading, that your margins are in a good place, that's when we can then move on to what we call niche. And niche is all about figuring out who do you really serve, who is your target market, who can best use your product or service. Because when you can bring a really solid product to the people who can really benefit from it, that's when you really end up with predictable cash flow, because then a significant amount of people are able to benefit. With that cash flow, again, and being able to run at a much higher level, and I sometimes look at the analogy of non-pressure pipe versus pressure pipe, because non-pressure pipe, if you haven't sorted out the basics in the business and you start pushing through a lot of people to the business, you can end up bursting that pipe. What we want to do is that when you have set up the basics, that the business that you are running is able to deal with the pressure from many customers, many clients coming to you at the same time. Leverage is all about doing more with less, being able to train your team to be able to use your systems that you have in a method that people can understand that they will always get consistently served. A system for opening the business, a system for closing the business, a system for hiring people, a system for training them and getting them up to speed. How do you appraise them? How do you look for new opportunities? Once we have all of this documented, and sometimes, when I sit with people, the biggest complaint I sometimes get is the team doesn't function. But without the systems, it is very tough to work with a team, because a team needs to be trained on how exactly do you want your business to be run. We would all hope that we can bring in people and they just hit the ground running and run our business for us. But I can tell you that that hardly ever happens. It means that in your own organizations, the screening that you do with who comes in and make sure that they can actually run your systems so your systems can run the business is really what can give you that peace of mind that you don't have to be the one standing up there making sure that everything goes the way you want it to. Once you have a team that runs well, runs the systems well, that run the business well, that is when you can start looking for someone to replace you. We call it the synergy level, where you can either promote a general manager from within the ranks or bring someone from the outside. I always prefer that the people that you have within your team are well developed so that they can be eligible to take over as general manager for the organization. And in Guyana, it's not yet the norm that we build businesses in order to sell these businesses. Although I have seen in the past 2 or 3 years with the influx of foreign companies coming in and them looking at companies locally in which they can invest, and I have seen some people selling parts of their businesses or selling some amount of shares in their businesses, but people only want a share of a business which is well run. Nobody wants to buy a business where they themselves have to go stand up there to run the business. And that structure that we've been using for the past 6 years, which has really been tested over the past 2 months. And I must tell you that other than the companies that are in travel and tourism, because travel and tourism is probably the most affected in our country. People can't go out of the country. Even internal travel is a bit of a difficulty. Other than those companies which are busy putting together new packages, negotiating new opportunities in the future, they are still focused on making sure that they have a clear future ahead. The rest of the companies have been rolling along really strongly. And the first couple of days of our election crisis, the first couple of days of our COVID crisis, did cause some amount of panic. However, that panic very quickly turned into planning. What do we do next? What do we need to make sure that we have in place in order to keep rolling along strongly? And I can tell you that what has happened for most of these companies for the past 2 months is that they're still hitting their targets. And that is exactly why I wanted to share this particular presentation with you. So let us take a look at the very bottom level, which is mastery. Mastery is all about making sure that you actually now have a commercial enterprise. Again, remember, commercial enterprise is where more than just your friends and family support you. This means that other people out there are looking at your company and are saying, okay, wait, this is something that I can buy for myself because I understand the value that your business delivers. Now, first area of mastery is destination mastery. Do you know where you are going? Where are you taking the people in your organization? Where are you taking your clients? Without a clear vision, nobody wants to join, because think about it. Nobody wants to make Vishnu or Rosh or Camille or Evie rich, right? Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, let's go make one of these entrepreneurs rich. No, people deal with us because we bring something of value to them that they really appreciate. And we have to be able to communicate what that is. Is it to be able to have people live longer lives? If you're in the health sector, Is it for you to really deliver great food if you're in the food industry? Is it to educate your kids to such a level that they become productive adults? Whatever that vision is, it allows people to buy into that vision, right? Think about it. If we equate life with a taxi, and you're standing up there, a taxi pulls up, and life, the taxi asks you, where are you going? What's your destination? And you don't know. The only thing life can tell you is, well, congratulations, you've just arrived. Because if you don't know where you're going, where you are is probably where you will remain for the long term. Next is money mastery. And money mastery is extremely important because we continue to see businesses making the mistake of thinking that markup equals margin. When they put a 50% markup on the cost price, they believe that they're making 50% profit. Not understanding that profit on cost price is different than profit on selling price, which is the margin. And just very simply, I can't go into a lot of depth here because I really want to touch the entire structure. A 50% markup is equal to a 33% margin. And there are some people out there thinking, well, I added on 50% with a calculator. I can remember that. This person wants a discount. Let me give them 20% off. Let me give them 25% off. Not realizing that they're actually giving away 25% of what is really 33 and end up with very little in the long run. So we have to make sure that our margins are set because we don't want to do all this work. We don't want to, train so many people, open so many locations, only to recognize that the margins we're making can't really give us a net profit at the end of the day. Because if we are running a successful business, we want to make sure that it does take care of our own needs as well. Time mastery, where is your time going? The biggest excuse we always get is, running out of time. A beggar and a billionaire both have 24 hours. So it cannot be the time. It is how you utilize your time. If you're always doing the work, and again, especially in this crisis period where we really need a lot of thinking to be done, are you expecting the cleaner to do the thinking, the driver to do the thinking? Yes, it's fantastic if they come up with ideas and they hand them to you. But the person who has the real responsibility for the thinking in the organization and bringing the thinking into the organization is the leader of the organization. So we do need to map out where is your time currently being utilized and how could it be utilized as best as possible. And then delivery mastery. I saw an article today in the newspaper, it might have been done earlier, but a complaint about a particular business and the way this person felt like they were treated in that business. And this is exactly what delivery mastery is about. We're not when somebody is well-dressed and they show up at your business, you treat them with golden gloves, if that is an expression. Yeah. But when somebody who doesn't look like you maybe isn't well-dressed, we treat them like they might be shoplifting at any point in time. When the person who might be dressed that way actually can afford to buy anything in the store, and the person who's really well-dressed may not be able to afford anything. So we really have to make sure that every single portion that we come in contact with is treated with dignity, is treated the same way. So it doesn't matter who it is, so that people will always expect a level of consistency when they are doing business with you. That is mastery. Once you have these 4 areas in place, you're ready to move on to the next step. Only then do we look at niche, which is the marketing side of business, because nothing kills a bad product faster than good marketing, right? Think about it. The last time on Facebook, you saw a restaurant, promising that their food is fantastic. Their marketing was so great. Those pictures were so amazing. And when the food got delivered, it was the worst food ever. And because it's social media, you took a picture of that same food and you lambasted that business, and the same good marketing that they did killed them immediately. So make sure that you bring a good product to the market, and it will always improve. But don't take a bad product or a halfway there product and push a lot of marketing, because it could kill your business. Our definition of niche of marketing is no price competition. Think about it. Every time in Guyana, we do have a tendency asking for a discount, and it's not just Guyana, across the world. But what that does is that when you set your price and somebody asks for a discount and you reduce your price, what are you really communicating? What are you really telling people? That, I was trying to fool you with this price, but you caught me, right? So here, take it away. And what you're really giving away there is your profit. So we have to be really careful about that. We have to make sure that whatever price we set, the value that people experience is way beyond the price, so that they don't feel bad about paying that price. They will pay you the price. And careful with discounts as well, because as soon as you give one person a discount, what do they want the second time they come to you? You guessed correctly. What do you think they're going outside there and telling everybody about your business? They're telling everybody about your business that don't worry with any of the prices you see there. You call my name and you'll get the real price. So be very, very careful about that. What you need to be clear on is, what is your unique selling proposition? What is the reason people need to come to you? And although we're facing all these crises at the moment, your customers haven't disappeared. When I listen to Evie, when I listen to Camille, their customers haven't disappeared. Your customers, your clients are still out there. They're waiting for you to find the best possible way to still continue serving them. They may not want to send their kids to school, but they still want their kids to be educated. It is up to you as the business owner to figure out the most innovative way to get this product delivered. And of course, guarantee what you do. If you're really that good, you should be able to say, well, I will educate your kids, or else it's your money back, right? Or else I'll keep doing it until I get the result. But people don't want to deal with businesses where the risk is on the buyer. The risk shouldn't be on the buyer. If you are the one who's delivering the product, you should take that risk. If you're really that good, guarantee your service. That allows people to really test what you do. Now, a lot of times I hear about, well, the system, will it work for me? Will this business structure work for me? I'm hoping that you're making all the notes necessary, because the answer is yes. We've tested this now across every single industry in Guyana, from forestry to mining to automotive to office supplies to digital marketing, every single industry, right? If you have an industry that you believe we may not have tested as yet, put it in the comments box and I'll let you know if we have, because it's 400 plus companies as well. So there's a good cross section, which means that the system, the formula, actually works across sectors as well. Because most business owners, they're really concerned about customers, revenue, and profit. But the problem with those three things is that they're all outcomes. They're all outcomes. Please make a note of this formula. This is the formula that we utilize to make sure that you keep on track. Because some businesses right now are going through a difficulty of losing the number of leads. These are the people who get to know about them. And Evie did mention the structure of how to make sure that people get to know of you. She mentioned digital marketing and the other types of places where people can actually come in contact with you. But there are 80, there are 100 different ways of generating leads. How many ways is your organization using? Right? If you're sitting there thinking, yeah, we have a signboard, we have a Facebook page, that's 2. I would strongly encourage you need to be up to 10 ways of marketing, because not everybody is passing your building to see your signboard. Not everybody is on Facebook to see what you are doing. Conversion rate, the people who are interested in what you do, how many of them actually decide to say yes to what you do? That is your conversion rate. You must know these numbers, because these 2 numbers, when you multiply them, actually tell you how many customers you have. And now you see that you can do something about increasing your number of customers. How often can you get them to buy from you, which is your number of transactions? And every time they buy from you, can you get them to buy more, right? And KFC does that fantastically with us. Every time we go through the drive-through and we ask for chicken, what do they ask us? Do you want fries with that? What is your do you want fries with that type of education? So again, if I were to use Camille, maybe the kids come there for just the education, but Camille may ask, well, would you like to join the gym as well? Would you like to also add a gym membership? Would you also like to add online Spanish, right? Because that allows you to take the same customer, and the same customer may be actually able to buy more from you, because in many cases, they're buying these things from other places because they did not know that you offered it. When you take your customers by your number of transactions, by your average dollar sale, you actually end up with your revenue. And then you have your profit margin. And again, the biggest way to safeguard your profit margin is not to discount, because every time you discount, when you bring down your prices, it is very difficult to take it up back. I would strongly encourage you, add value instead of discounting. So what could you do for a customer that they will really appreciate, that would allow them to pay the price, but they appreciate the added value that you have provided to them, and that would deliver your profit. Now, of course, if we just have small 10% increases in each one of these 5 areas in blue, it actually ends up with a 46% increase in revenue, 61% increase in profit. It would be important that you look at where do we really need to focus on your specific business. And again, there are a lot of professionals who can help you. We normally would make sure that we sit with you first to see if there is potential. Are you coachable? Is the business coachable? And then we move ahead. Because sometimes as well, we have to make sure that we're not in a situation where the business is really, it's not the right business. You know, there are already 5 car washes. The 6th car wash, unless you can wave a magic wand and the car gets washed like that, it's not likely that the 6th car wash is going to help if you're not doing something special. System is all about saving yourself time, energy, and money. And the 9 steps, I'm going to pull them up here, is what you really need to have in place in order to make sure that you now have a business that is fully systemized. Where are you going? What are the goals? Who are the people that you're staffing the organization with? What are the how-to systems? So how is everything done in your organization? And what are the management systems that you have in place? And again, if you plan to sell part of your business, it's very important that you have your management systems in place, because that is a significant amount of what people pay for. Then we move on to the team, and the simplest way I can explain the team is that instead of the owner running behind the team, running behind the customers, trying to keep the business open, you as an owner of the business, especially during this time, you have to make sure that your team is well equipped, well supported, well motivated, so that the way you treat them is the way they're going to treat your customers. And when your customers are treated like super fans, that's how they keep supporting the business. And then the business provides you with a profit. Strongly encourage you, make sure that you take some of the profit, plug it into the team, and then make sure that you, as any owner, you'd also want to return on your investment. And this is exactly where synergy and results happen, where you can now start deciding on the next location and the next locations. Is it that you want to enter a new country? Because I really want to close off. Jim Rohn is one of my favorite. I know he's also a favorite of some of the other panelists here today, because some people really wish that life would be easier. And isn't it so easy at this point in time to wish that life was easier, that we did not have to deal with political issues, economic issues, social issues? It is easy to wish that, but what Jim mentioned is wish that you were better and work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Keep making sure, use this time as well, especially if you're an individual that is at home for one reason or the other. Make sure that you are upskilling yourself. Make sure that you are learning new skills, new knowledge, new abilities that will allow you to hit the ground running if you're not already doing that. So this is what I would like to share with you. And I wish that anybody who needs a lot more detail on this, feel free to reach out. The Georgetown Chamber also has fantastic resources. Reach out to the Chamber as well, because we need really strong businesses. We need businesses that are going to keep our economy churning out income and jobs. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Vish. I know there's so much to share and so little time. We could have kept going, but thank you so much, and I really appreciate that. Again, took some notes as you were going through this. I really like the mention at the very beginning of PESTLE. I think that's a great framework that people can use to do analysis, but political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. But you can also use that to look at opportunities as well. What opportunities are we finding in those spaces? You also mentioned businesses must be profitable, and you talked about your 6-step process: mastery, niche, leverage, team, synergy, results. I like to focus on destination mastery, really explaining the why, money mastery, knowing your margins, time mastery. How do you utilize your time? We talk about what's urgent, what versus what's important, and knowing the difference between the two. And then delivery mastery, which I think ties in really nicely with what some of Evie was sharing earlier about, ensuring that you have systems in place so that you do this effectively. You also talked about the unique selling proposition, and you wrapped it up. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Jim Rohn, so I smiled when I saw that slide. Never wish your life, was easier. Wish you were better. So thank you so much, Vishnu, for that great presentation. It is now 6:52, so we've got about 8 minutes before we pull the curtains down on this. And I'm going to open this up. I didn't see any. I saw some comments come in. I don't know if I saw any questions come in. So let me kick it off with a question. We talk about marketing. Evie really kicked it off with marketing, and perhaps everybody can jump in and share their thoughts on this. Is there anything specific, that is really working in marketing right now? I know we talked about digital marketing as a whole. We mentioned, WhatsApp, we mentioned Facebook. As it relates to your specific businesses, is there any one or two things that you've used in the digital marketing space that's really working for you right now? And anyone could feel free to take this one away.
If I could, with Java Coffee Bar, on-demand delivery or on-demand ordering in terms of predetermining the time of pickup or delivery has really been, and we do that through our website platform, ordering platform. It's really encouraged persons to even order when we're closed and arrange their pickup time so they know how to move and what time they're getting to work and they're going to pass by. So really communicating that and directing persons, and again, this is a flow and the process that go to java.gui, make your order, set your time of pickup or delivery, and we'll fulfill that. So explaining that process on our online platforms and using the website to kind of drive those sales and drive that convenience has really worked for us, because it's now we're kind of having to shift from how we want things to be done or do things to what the consumers are demanding, because they don't want to sit in a place and wait for a long time for their product or service. So that using that feature on our digital platform has really helped, and we've seen almost a 50% increase of website traffic and ordering online, and it's really been useful for us.
That is awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Thanks for sharing, Evie.
Yeah, for us, what has really worked well is that our business is very much remote work across the world. But in Guyana, we really had a situation where our Georgetown customers, our Georgetown clients, who are like a block away, were the ones that were using Zoom and Skype. And our clients who are from Bartica and Parika and Corriverton, they would actually take the 1 and 2 hour drive. And what the current crisis has also done is it actually allowed them to adopt technology. And now they actually see the benefit, because think about it, how much time could be saved by using technology. So we have seen a lot more people, time and money as well, has been utilized, and they're able now to really do a lot more with their timing. So that has been one positive. And the other positive as well is being able to really touch a much wider audience. More people are online. More people have gotten used to using tools like WhatsApp. We still had, some people who are over 40, over 50, refusing to use WhatsApp, who've now come on board, which is fantastic, because it allows now for that communication to be done so much easier. So huge expansion in the social media tools and online tools.
Brilliant. Appreciate you sharing that, Vish.
So for Kami's Academy, what we've realized is constant engagement and communication would have played a pivotal role. Even though our parents are home children, they're in a state of uncertainty. So that technical support to our staff even would have allowed them to adapt technology really fast, so that we could have been able to manage to switch to this new platform in 48 hours. We found, as business leaders, we need to be cognizant of the psychological and emotional effect of COVID-19. And at this point in time, excellent customer service and that relationship, that should matter to us and to everyone now more than ever. So again, it's leading, your business, but leading it more on a compassionate ground. People are reaching out, and this is what they need. Sometimes they need our support, more than our business right now. And this has really allowed us to retain all of our customers, dealing with them at a personal level.
That's wonderful. And you know what? People remember when you share that value, when you're there for them when they really need it. So when you take that compassion first approach, the compensation may come later down the road. It's good to make that deposit without expecting that immediate, withdrawal in that relationship. So Richard has asked a really great question here. I'm going to throw it out to the panel. What advice would the team have, and the team referring to the panelists, would the team have for anyone who wishes to start a business? So we've been talking about you incredible entrepreneurs who've had a business pre-COVID-19, but what about those starting a business during COVID-19? What advice might you give?
All right, I'll get started. And I think even pre-COVID, if you think about the oil and gas sector really starting to kick in, we would have noticed that in Guyana, we have a lot of gaps that existed, especially in the service side of things, maintenance, transportation. So we have seen a lot of businesses have started to fill those gaps because there is a preference for local entities. And again, think about it from a business perspective. It is cheaper for Exxon to deal with a local company than it is to do with a foreign company, especially if that local company has the competence that is required. So step number one, make sure that you actually have the competence that is required to fill that particular gap. And sometimes you have to do it through a partnership with an entity that does have it, or, which is the second part that I haven't seen many companies taking advantage of, is to hire the skills. The problem with hiring the skills is that internationally, the oil and gas sector, those skills come at a very high premium. So people rather partner than to hire in the skills. And then during COVID, we've actually seen a lot of opportunities pop up. So I think there are now a few more delivery companies because people want to reduce that impact. And I've seen it a lot around Georgetown, but I haven't seen that yet move into any specific scale in the outlying regions. And any underserved area. So we also use Facebook to track to see what the demand is. What are people asking for? We have software for that, but I'm sure that if you have some time, if you're thinking about starting a business, invest 4 hours, 8 hours, and start tracking what is the demand, what are people asking for, the recommendations. When we want to have a recommendation for something, we can type it on Facebook. You can actually go and track to see what are recommendations people are asking for. Sometimes we even ask people, well, did you get through? Were you happy with the recommendation you received? Because market research is so key, and I did see an EJ pop up a little bit earlier. Market research is so important because we need to know what is the demand before we build the product, right? And not do it the other way around, where we grow more and then it spoils. And we've done that in the past as well, where we produce a product, but there's not enough demand for the product. So that would be my advice.
Great. Thank you, Vishnu.
So I am a big believer in the bird in hand theory, and especially in times like now when maybe you don't have a lot of money for investment, starting where you are and the resources that you currently have available to you to start a business is, I think, really great advice. You look at who you are, what do you have, and who do you know in terms of who you can then partner with or collaborate with to make your business a reality. So it calls for a lot of lean thinking and how can I operate and start a business on the minimal, and how can I expand once I have started. I'm really sorry. I think my baby thinks we're having a conversation and she's getting in. But yes, so the bird in hand, basically you start a business with what you have now. Don't jump at getting a loan. I know that's kind of hard to get right now. And yeah, your knowledge, your unique selling point, your X factor, whatever you want to call it, could very well be you. And you can start a business with what you have currently at your disposal. Who do you know who can benefit from your service or product, and definitely what problem are you solving? Because social business is good business. Social innovation is good business. If you can build or evolve or innovate on a current product or service, definitely embrace technology and innovation and take it lean.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Evie. And I'm glad your baby could join us as well. All right. So I think we've got another question that's popped up here. Question for the team. What are some of the challenges you're facing with the new systems you've adapted to deliver to your customers during this period of crisis? Camille, take it away.
All right, so some of our major challenges, and it's something that is beyond our control, is the internet connectivity. We know across Guyana that is one of the biggest challenges we're faced with. So what we've decided to do is to create an alternative, as an online school. There is this virtual classroom where not just you're going to have live classes, but rather classes can be recorded for future reference. Teachers are allowed to upload their lesson plan, their PowerPoint slides, their pictures for future reference. So as children can access better connectivity, even we're having challenges with sharing resources within the home. Sometimes you find one home just have one laptop, one tablet, and there are like three children. So these are some of the challenges. But again, like I said, all the online classes or even online business, people should consider making it a little bit more flexible because we understand the internet issues. Our second major challenge is adaptation to technology, not just from our team, but from the parents. Sometimes simple things like creating an email address, our admin team would have to reach out to the parent to say, that's okay, we will do this for you. Just ensure that you get the kids ready whenever the email address is available so we can send them their student ID. So that is basically two of our major challenges. In terms of starting a business this time, I would have read Mr. Rambrand's question. Vishnu can attest to this, as great business leaders, this is not downtime for us, but pretty much this is planning mode. Instead of getting into panic mode, switch into a planning mode. So he knows we're using this time here to create an additional system, systemize the entire school. And right now we are expanding and we're creating 2 other locations. So a lot of groundwork is happening right now to launch those two new locations from September. And we've also teamed up with the biggest and the brightest, and Camise Academy is now Camise Academy Incorporated, which is a partnership with Action Invest. So we've used this time here to create. Now, during crisis, there are opportunities. You just have to be smart about it and recognize those opportunities. So that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Camille.
I think probably the only thing I would want to add there Camille really touched on the service side of things, especially, all the challenges with the internet and adaptation. But if you're doing physical products as well, making sure that you can safeguard, especially give people peace of mind as well, that whatever you're delivering is free of any virus. So make sure that they know your sanitation methods, make sure that they know that, if it's food, if it's furniture, if it is any other supplies that you're delivering, let people know what you've done to treat that particular product before it left your area. How was it transported? And in many cases, you can actually tell people, well, you're going to leave it in this area here, you'll wipe it down and let them pick it up, in a half an hour after. Make sure that your people go out with masks and that they outline to people. I think people really want to have that information to be sure that whatever you're bringing to them is safe and it's not going to cause any virus to be spread in their household. So communication is key.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vish, for that. And I just want to say thanks again to, I think it was Andrea Gopal, for asking that question. So we've got another question that came in here from Alana Norville. Do you think the self-sustainability forced upon us during the COVID-19 period spells a shift towards a new local manufacturing sector? This is an interesting question. Let me throw this out to the panelists. What do you guys think?
So if I could, because I am kind of in the manufacturing sector with Jabba Coffee Bar, we produce a lot locally, and prior to 2018, actually, we were importing, for example, fruit smoothies and various mixes, and we encountered several problems with changing policy with the Food and Drug Administration, which really forced us to adopt sourcing locally and creating products along the line of what we can get locally. So even before COVID-19, and we had changed over to frozen fruit and locally manufactured yogurt smoothies. We had started making some of our own sauces. We previously used cheesecake mix, and we were able to completely create our cheesecake recipe from scratch. So the push has always been there, and the opportunity has always been there for local manufacturing. I'm excited that it's there even more now, because it really does solve a problem for importers like me. I absolutely hate the logistics part of the business and having to import. I would rather just be in my kitchen or be in my coffee shop making great coffee and nice things. So that pain point of importation, it's nice to just get online and click buy and pay and get it in the country. But especially when you're dealing with food and you got to deal with logistics and manufacturing dates and expiry dates, this has been necessary for a long time. And especially if we can become self-sufficient and sustainable in terms of food, Guyana, it will be huge for Guyana. I can tell you personally, I've been doing catering for about 8 years before we opened the restaurant, and it's 5 years now. And it's always been a pain point. Changing policies have affected import, manufacturing, warehouse dates sometimes are crazy, and then the expiry dates. And it's so much you have to deal with. But locally manufactured items, being able to create more job leads from your local manufacturing industry, because we're talking about chemists coming into play, we're talking about nutritionists coming into play, we're talking about more opportunities for branding and packaging and even marketing. We're talking about more than just manufacturing. We're talking about several industries that could potentially become huge, and we can really embrace that bread basket of the Caribbean that we're so well known for.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Evie. And for me personally, my wife loves to do magic in the kitchen. And what's been interesting is that you can actually taste, by going local and using more local products, you can actually taste the quality in the food. So maybe Java Coffee Bar and all of its catering products taste better now, with everything else that you guys are doing as well. So thanks for sharing that, Evie. We had, did anybody else want to jump on this? Because I saw another question come in from Sean Ramraten. He said, great work to the team during the COVID period. Should we penetrate to do the best in business or the first in business? This sounds like a Vishnu type of question. Maybe I'll throw this to Vish.
Yeah, so the answer to this is it depends. It's a very strong it depends. And it really, we always like to measure the demand and to look at, how many players you have there right now, who will you be going up against. If you're in an existing business, it's always important to see what can put you ahead. Pay attention as well to the competitors, but you really become your biggest competitor. How do you keep getting better day after day? Because your customers today will expect you to get better tomorrow. And if you're not driving it, somebody else will come along and do better than you. So in the existing business, yes, you should continuously strive to be the best that there is. You will find people who may come with maybe deeper pockets, more IP, more capital, intellectual property. Some people will have to decide, do we collaborate with them? Do we continue competing with them? Do we enter a new area now? So when he says first in business as well, this is where we now have to measure where's the demand that's not being met as yet. And again, comes back to market research. What I would recommend to Sean and anybody else thinking about this right now is to really tap into the expertise that exists within Guyana, out of Guyana, so that it's better to invest a penny in planning than lose a pound in just getting started. And to the other question with the shift towards new local manufacturing sector, I must just tell you that I really love all the kitchen gardens, all these backyard gardens. I had an interview with Caribbean Chemicals yesterday, and they're amazed. Most of their stock is sold out because people are really getting into that type of gardening. And it's always nice when you can harvest. And I've received from Camille's farm as well, so I know she's also into farming. And it's very nice when you can produce for yourself and also share to your neighbors and to your friends something that you had previously, you had to buy because you didn't have the capacity to produce yourself. So I hope that helps.
Great. Thank you so much, Vishnu. Kian, I'll take this question before we start to pull the curtains down, because we're about 11 minutes over the hour. But Kian Smith is asking, what can we do to have our people embrace local e-commerce? Now, this sounds more like a Evie question, so I'll throw this out to you. And I know Camille has been moving and pioneering in this space as well, so perhaps you ladies can jump in on this.
Definitely, for people to move to e-commerce, it comes into that process. We've got to be directing people how to do business with us. Think about it. When you offer product or service, people ask questions. How can I get it? How much is it? So we have to embrace advertising our prices. I see a lot of people don't want to advertise their prices. We have to embrace talking about our product and service, describing it. We have to embrace putting our price and not being afraid that our competition will steal our prices or steal our ideas. Sean asked, do you do it better or do you do it first? And because it's not business as usual, you have to be able to reach your clients and your customers at their convenience. And many times, and Roche can attest to this, Facebook is telling you when your clients are online. And for Java Coffee Bar, we're actually seeing it's 8 o'clock in the night. And like I said, it's increased our ordering time when we're closed. So think about your website as your 24/7 our store that's always open and always available to your customers. So on the first part, the business owners need to change the mindset that they have of being very secretive about their products and their services and open up, because the more content you generate on your website through blogs, videos, posting about products, the more popular you will be on social media. You'll index better when people search for products and services in Google. Having a website is what really makes a difference. Now, when you have that in place, because you can't very well say, let's do e-commerce, and you're not making the investment or creating the landscape for e-commerce and expecting people to just jump on the bandwagon of e-commerce. So when you've done that and you've laid it out and you said, okay, this is the process, then we can have people embracing e-commerce. We always use online payment as the pain point for why we're not doing it. But there's cash on delivery. There are a few banks that offer transfer between accounts, and there is MMG right now, and it's going to open up more. As COVID-19 creates new norms, innovation will increase, policy will change, and if you're on the internet now, it will be better for your business because people are going to find you before they find in newer businesses and newer websites.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Evie. All righty. Did we have any other questions that came in? All right. Let's see. This is from Siobhan Lim. Good evening, everyone. What is your advice on how our communication strategies should evolve at a time when the appetite for travel and live events has decreased over COVID-19 concerns, particularly for event planners and organizers who have had to postpone or cancel? Now, this is a question for one of the hardest hit sectors and industries, the event industry, the tourism, the hospitality industry. Panelists, what do you think? What's some advice that you would give to Siobhan?
Well, I had an interview with Robbie from Pulse a couple of days ago, and he's actually thinking about some spacesuit parties where everybody gets suited up in one of these suits, because people are missing that social interaction. So we do want to make sure that, and there will be some creative ways. I already see, I think Ansa McCall is hosting some parties on the Saturday night. So event planners can start looking at what's possible to do digital. However, people are starting to build up this urge to travel again and to visit places. There are some people who are saying, they'll stay away from everything as long as possible. Those are called the introverts. They're actually the happiest people alive right now. But extroverts who really want to have that energy and that interaction and that movement, it is important for anybody in the travel and tour industry to really start prepping what are going to be the packages that will allow people to really experience what they've been missing out for the past 2 months. And this might stretch out to 3 months and 6 months, but there will be a need for them to really plan on that. And also, we know that it's one of the hardest hit industries. What resources do you have that you can start to apply to a different industry, a different sector? And if these type of things, I have a lot of people who mentor me, who coach me, and when I have an idea and I have 20% of it, sometimes they help me with the rest of the 80%. Sometimes I have 80, they help me with the 20% that was critical. So reach out and get some more thought on this.
Brilliant. And if I can add, Vish, sometimes you have, existing resources and infrastructure that you can use in adjacent sectors or industries, while at the same time, once, you stop hemorrhaging in the business, you can start to prepare for the next cycle. I think there was something in the media yesterday. I can't remember which cruise company it was, but they decided that they were going to open up in August. And their sales are up 600% compared, to the same time last year. So, like you said, there's a clamoring, of people who just want to get out there as soon as these restrictions lift. So, I think there's also a great opportunity to fill the demand, but also prepare for what's coming as well. So, folks, we are just 20 minutes over the hour. I'm really happy that we've had so many questions come in and that we've had so many people attend this session. Before we wrap it up, before we do the final curtain draw, what I'd like to do is to give each of our panelists just 30 seconds. What's that one thing that you want to share? What's the remark? What's that bit of advice that you'd like to share to any of the entrepreneurs, any of the small business owners, even the larger businesses who are watching this? What would you like them to take away from this session today?
Roshi might have to pick.
I just want to say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try new things in your business. If it doesn't work, adjust. It's unprecedented time. There's no right or wrong. Okay, maybe there is some wrong. But if you have an idea to improve your business and you have an idea to offer more value or a different way of offering business, try it. Test it. Try it. Be the pilot of your plane and get your business out of the rut that it is in right now. Don't let it stay there. Don't be afraid and just go for it. That's the best advice I can give right now. Don't let fear petrify you.
Thank you, Evie.
All right, for me, my final advice would be, as we continue to market and sell even after COVID-19, we need to take a more client-centric approach rather than a self-centric. Focus on the compelling needs of your customers, focus on what's in it for them and how can you offer that credible solution, a solution that adds that perceived value and a value that can either outweigh or match the cost that you're charging. So those were my final thoughts this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille.
And what I would like to share is that visit some places. I have never visited my living room as much as I have in the past 2 months. Outside in the garden, I never knew I had all these places that I could have gone to. So, maybe the tour companies need to figure out some ways in which they can arrange tours of people's homes, because I've really, truly enjoyed enjoying my home. And that's something that I think a lot of us got a little bit disconnected from. So enjoy, and also enjoy the rest. Plan, prepare, do what you can, but maybe maybe the universe is also telling us, take a little bit of a rest on the weekends. Just relax with your family, eat dinner, eat lunch, eat breakfast with them. So don't get caught up in a panic. Don't overplan. Make sure that you do plan, but also get the much needed rest, because after a storm, after a winter comes summer, right? So be ready to enjoy summer, get some rest as well.
Thank you, Vish. I think that was well said for us to wrap up our session. So once again, panelists, thank you so much. Really appreciate all the insights, all the advice, the mentorship, the guidance that you shared on the call. And for everyone who tuned in, whether you're watching this live with us, whether you're catching the replay right now, whether there's a watch party that you're looking at right now, thank you for making this event and this webinar such an engaging one. And we really hope it was practical. We hope it was effective. We hope it was helpful in some way. Once again, this is an initiative of the GCCI, and more specifically, the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee. So please stay tuned. We'll be making some other announcements about our upcoming webinars, about the lineup of panelists that we have, and we're putting some final touches on an online business toolkit as well. I won't say any more except to tease you with just that. More information coming soon. So please be sure you follow gcci.gy and that you check out the Facebook page as well. So once again, everybody, thank you. This is where we pull the curtains down. To everyone, please be safe, wear your masks, wash your hands. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.